Hello, everyone. Admitting everyone into the room, so we'll give a few seconds. My name is Francisco Barrera. I work with PATH as a Associate Director of Administration, and today I have the honor of introducing Tescia Uribe. Was it?
Okay, yeah.
So I have Tescia Uribe, Chief Program Officer of PATH. As we mentioned earlier, Tescia oversees programming statewide, specifically in LA and Orange County regions. Today we have a smaller group, so what we'd like to do, if it's okay for everyone, is if you would like to come off mute to ask your question or drop it in the chat, we'd like to answer your Q&As.
Hi. So my name is Chastity McCourt, and I am from St. Joseph, Missouri. And so we started out as an all male shelter, and then we seen a need and started going from all male to women and males. But we're still seeing a need out there as we have clients last winter and actually in previous winters who we know don't seek shelter because they have animals. And this is becoming a problem because as you know, the winters get really cold. Um, and we've actually lost a couple of clients due to them getting frostbitten and stuff like that because they are refusing to get into shelter due to not being able to bring their animal family member. So, my boss, that's one thing she's been really avid about is like, where do we begin to breach that conversation that says, hey, this is a need? All of our animal, like, we definitely have a community here that doesn't support the homeless. Um, and our animal shelters are so overfull right now. Like they're hitting hard spots where they're actually having to pretty much give animals away and having to euthanize at this point because they're just so overpacked with animals. So like there's no real big partnership going on there either. So it's like where do you begin to say, hey, we need this co-sheltering so that we aren't having our homeless community having to give up their family members. And that's the thing too, is we're getting some of our clients are getting arrested for trespassing. And when they're getting arrested, their family members are going into they're going into like animal shelters. And so now they're having to come up with money to get that animal family member back. And so it's become a hassle there too. Um, so where do you begin those conversations that says we really need this co-sheltering? We really need this at the shelter. And is there like, did you seek out grants? Did you just say, hey, we're gonna gun ho this and we're gonna makeshift this, we're just gonna give it all? So where does that begin?
Yeah, we just started with, so I don't know how everybody's, policies and funding and who makes the rules. But for the shelters that we operate within our organization, we made the decision ourselves and we just said, like, we're going to do this. This is important to us. And so we, just started letting the animals in and went from there. We found that there are a lot of folks in the community, businesses, even the major businesses like Petco, PetSmart, who are very willing and able to donate food, leashes, animal supplies, like really the basic things that you need. And we just did it. And then, we have some policies and procedures that we incorporated along the way, about rules and responsibilities and what happens. But I mean, I think it's just the will of that structure to accept the animals.
Would there be, do you guys post your guys' policies and procedures anywhere, or would there be an option to get those so that I can just kind of look over those?
Yeah, I can share them. I think that we've shared them with Christine before, just in general. So I'll get with her. But yeah, we have our whole thing. So we have the pet owners, sign off on the agreement that they agree to take care of their animal. They agree to pick up after the animal. We treat the animal like they can go on a behavior contract, just like a human can. So if the animal is, picking up after their animal, if they're not doing things like that, they'll get a contract about following through with their responsibilities. We also think it's important to, upon entry, come up with a care plan. So if something were to happen to the person and they were either in a hospital or not able to care for their animal, what would they want to see happen to that animal? So we do plan on that.
Yeah, if you could definitely share that, that would be amazing.
For sure.
Thank you.
We do have two questions in the chat. The first one's from Sophie Vong Carledge. She says, "Thank you, Tescia, for your wonderful presentation. I was wondering if and how you work with local animal welfare orgs such as humane societies, and is there a role animal welfare org can play in helping with your mission?"
Yeah, that's a really good question, and definitely. I think depending on the county, it's, it dictates how you work with the humane societies. We have also had a lot of really great partnerships with different foundations who have stepped up big time to help with the animals. They often will arrange the no-cost vaccination clinics. They'll take on fostering of animals when an emergency happens for a pet owner. We're able to rely on them for a lot of different things. I think the biggest thing that we see a need for is low-cost veterinary services and no-cost vaccinations and spay and neuter. That's been the hardest thing for us to find. I'm not sure if that answered. Do you think I answered it?
Yeah, thank you again, Sophie. We also have one more question. It asks, for your all veteran program, what considerations are necessary when compared to other programs, and what challenges or additional resources have you discovered when working with this population?
In reality, it's about the same. I would say that because we allow all animals, it doesn't really change program by program. I think that, the safety, the security, all of those things are considered at every site. There's not really additional animal resources for veterans. So yeah, I don't know that it changes.
Thank you.
Hello.
Yes.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so this is Sophie von Carledge. Tescia, thank you so much just now for your reply to my questions regarding, the local animal welfare organizations. I do have another question, if I may, and it's about, I guess, the areas you're serving, because, you are serving more the most high cost of living areas in this nation. And I am now working for a humane society in a lower cost, living area. But then I'm actually moving, back to the San Francisco Bay Area, and I'm getting ready to work for animal welfare organizations there. So I'm wondering, from your vantage point, what are the unique challenges, to the areas that you're serving? Thank you.
Yeah, I think with the animals, it's the unique challenge with the areas that we're working are just the availability of resources for low income communities. So I think in Los Angeles, there's a wide array of socioeconomic statuses in different areas. So we're able to locate more resources, I would say. In Orange County, there's specific areas within Orange County that you can locate resources. And that's the thing. Hardest resource to find is that veterinary care and support. I think in general, when our community affairs or external affairs team reaches out for donations, people are so willing to give. They're willing to give supplies, donate training, all of that stuff. It really is the medical care for the animals that across the state we have difficulty accessing.
Oh, thank you so much. That's very interesting you mentioned that because I am working or like studying the development fundraising field. So I'm also interested in, where is the funding coming from? And you mentioned that you had state funding and then that like went away. So I'm just wondering like for organizations like yours in general in California, is the funding coming more strongly from the state or from federal or from philanthropy?
Yeah, so for our organization, we have a mix of government funding, federal, state, local. We also do a lot of philanthropy. So in like where we get items donated to us as well as fundraising dollars. And so we have to pull all of those different resources together to cover our costs for the people and the animals.
Okay, yeah. Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Sophie. We have a few more minutes if anyone would like to come off mute or drop a question in the Q&A section.
Hey, how you doing? Do you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm Steve Barrera. I'm the director of Liberty County Animal Services and also the founder of Friends of Liberty County Animal Services. I started a nonprofit also to help the government side of the house, which I work at also. So what I see, I'm kind of tapped out on what I provide. Passions is homeless, and I see the fix, in the governmental and the governmental side of the house, because I'm in Southeast Georgia, where the laws do not, in the state do not protect us, as animal advocates. They're very vague, and I use Petco Love to vaccines. I'm part of every national organization. So we try to provide as many free services to people because my mission is to provide for those that can't. We provide veterinary services to people that can't. But what I've seen is a lot of the funding is kind of in our bigger city areas, and I'm in a very rural area, which is very hard to get that funding down to us that are in a low, population. And I say low population, we have a military base attached to us. So we have that unique, that unique thing with us. We have a constant in and out. Being in LA, do you guys reach out to the more rural areas? How do you guys handle that rural animal control, animal services, humane society? Working with passing down the funding or the resources down there to them possibly.
Yeah, so the way it works in California, I think it probably is a little different, is that different organizations serve like different areas. And so if there's organizations that like have a focus on the geography of rural areas, and they work with those local counties, cities, etc., to service those groups. With PATH, we're more like city, urban environment. We haven't really gone into rural areas, but like, for example, Stanislaus County has a bunch of rural areas, and there's specific organizations, where that's their specialty, and they serve those areas. So I think that's more what we see in California. I don't know about the rest of the US, but I'm sure that's not helpful at all. Sorry.
No, that's fine. I was just curious.
Time.
Yeah, Shoshana, so we are at time. We'd like to thank everyone for asking your questions. We hope it's been helpful, and we hope you enjoy the rest of the conference.